Hundreds of people gathered in central Texas last night at a vigil for victims of the catastrophic flooding last week. And Elon Musk's new America Party is expected to attract young men. That's a group that was key to President Trump's win. Good morning, I'm Janine Herbst from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. A new analysis from NPR and data scientists find at least 17 buildings and cabins at campsites in central Texas were at greater risk than the government previously reported. NPR's Laura Sullivan has more.
An analysis by climate modeling company First Street found FEMA failed to properly account for the threat from rainfall when developing its maps. It wasn't just a problem at the camp. FEMA's maps undercount the number of homes in danger throughout the country. Data scientists say FEMA relies on tidal surge and river data, and the agency lacks funding and a mandate to update its process. NPR found special interest groups like home builders associations often lobby to prevent the agency from getting that funding. At Camp Mystic, NPR also found at least 8 buildings, including cabins for younger campers, located inside the floodway, a dangerous area expected to see high-velocity water. Laura Sullivan, NPR News.
Meanwhile, hundreds of people gathered at a vigil last night for the victims and the missing. The Texas Newsroom's Lucio Vasquez is in the Texas Hill Country, where at least 120 people died, more than 160 are missing.
Bleachers filled with grieving neighbors, all praying and singing together, remembering the victims. The vigil also included a tribute to Camp Mystic, which became the heart of one of the deadliest natural disasters in Texas history. Randy Rose, who grew up in the area, says the vigil gave the community a moment to breathe.
It was a time of healing. It was a time of trying to, get back to some normalcy and step away from the tragedy for a minute.
Rose says he felt lighter after leaving the vigil. Still, the community is bracing for long days ahead. For NPR News, I'm Lucio Vasquez in Kerrville.
Russia bombarded Ukraine again last night in an hours-long assault that left at least 2 people dead. This as President Trump made an abrupt turnaround on weapons to Ukraine, saying the U.S. will send additional weapons after a pause by the Pentagon. But it's unclear what will be sent and what might still be on hold. NPR's Tom Bowman has more.
All we know is that Trump has overruled Pentagon leaders who announced that halt, and he said, quote, "We're going to send more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves." He said this as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was sitting next to him. And now, he wasn't specific, and the Pentagon would only say in a statement it was sending additional defensive weapons, and that was all. Now, we expect they'll send more Patriot missiles. There are some 30 being held in Poland, according to a U.S. official who was not authorized to speak. And these missiles, of course, have been key in destroying incoming Russian missiles.
NPR's Tom Bowman reporting. With his eyes on the midterm elections, Elon Musk says he's starting a new political party. He's calling it the American Party and says voters want a middle ground option. As NPR's Elena Moore reports, it's something that could appeal to a key group Trump made gains with last fall, young men.
Third parties often take away votes from major parties in close races. That could be a problem in the midterms. Plus, men under 30 are a valuable group for Republicans to hold on to. They were key to Trump's win last fall. But they're not reliable Republican voters. Polling shows that young men are uniquely critical of both political parties.
We still don't have a great idea of where young men are going to go. Like, where are Gen Z men going to be in 20 years when it comes to their politics?
That's Dan Cox with the conservative-leaning American Enterprise Institute. Though he's unsure if Musk's party can attract these voters, he says there's a huge opportunity to engage with them. Elena Moore, NPR News.
President Trump announced a 50% tariff on imports from Brazil. But as NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben reports, the new threat is different from the other ones he made this week.
Trump announced the tariff rate by posting a letter to Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on social media Wednesday, his 22nd letter this week. All of the other letters were similar, telling countries that the new tariffs were being imposed to rectify their trade imbalances with the U.S. But the letter to Brazil was about politics. Trump angrily referenced what he calls a witch hunt against former far-right President Jair Bolsonaro, who is facing trial for an alleged attempted coup against Lula. Trump has long praised the far-right Bolsonaro, who lost in a 2022 re-election bid against Lula. Shortly thereafter, Bolsonaro's supporters stormed the capital, Brasilia. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News.
In Los Angeles, more than 31 workers building an underground tunnel for a wastewater treatment plant have been rescued after a partial collapse. Steve Futterman has more.
The collapse occurred in the early evening. Officials say the trapped workers had to climb through debris up to 15 feet high. The massive 7-mile underground tunnel is designed to return wastewater that's been treated back into the ocean. When the collapse occurred, more than 100 first responders raced to the scene. A triage unit was set up. Fortunately, it was not needed. LA Mayor Karen Bass.
I was so concerned that we were going to find tragedy. Instead, what we found was victory. All of the men that were in that tunnel rescued.
The rescue workers inside a giant cage were lifted out of the tunnel by a crane. There will be an investigation to determine what caused the collapse. For NPR News, I'm Steve Futterman in Los Angeles.
Silicon Valley chipmaker Nvidia is now the first publicly traded company to surpass a $4 trillion market valuation. That from the investor frenzy over artificial intelligence powered by its industry-leading processors. The milestone reflects the upheaval being unleashed by AI, which is widely viewed as the biggest tectonic shift in technology since Apple unveiled the first iPhone 18 years ago. Underscoring that, Nvidia is now worth $900 billion more than Apple. In Thailand, thousands of people from around the world are flocking to the Khao Keo Open Zoo to celebrate the first birthday of Deng. She's a baby pygmy hippo that's become a social media sensation. To celebrate her day, she took a few naps, ate a watermelon and vegetables before she was hosed down for a shower. She also got a 44-pound hippo-sized cake. Baby pygmies are native to West Africa, and they are endangered. There are only a couple thousand of them left in the world. A new animated movie on Netflix is spawning a summer soundtrack sensation. NPR's Stephen Thompson has more.
For 7 weeks, the top of the Billboard albums chart has been reserved for Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem. It's a blockbuster whose streaming numbers have remained remarkably consistent. But the rest of the top 10 has been volatile in recent weeks as new albums storm the chart only to quickly drop out. But there's an exception, the soundtrack to the Netflix original movie KPop Demon Hunters. That's golden by several contributors to the movie and its soundtrack. It's one of 7 songs from K-pop Demon Hunters to crash the Hot 100 singles chart, while the album rises from number 8 to number 3. The source of that chart growth? Streaming, as fans switch from watching the movie to playing its soundtrack over and over again. Stephen Thompson, NPR News.
I'm Janine Herbst, and you're listening to NPR News from Washington.